Alright, just went down to Long and McQuaid today and bought a Pioneer DJ turntable, PLX-500-K, so it's the black version. Apparently there's a white version too, which would probably get too dirty too quickly, so I got the black one. And here's the box, so it's got an outer box and an inner box. I guess that's pretty typical of Pioneer. And what we'll do now is open her up and see what we got. So there we have it, the top of the box. You got a nice little manual on top. And of course, first thing you see is the dust cover, which we're going to put off to the side because we're not going to put that on until the very end, just to keep it from getting all scratched up. Inside we get the platter mat, Pioneer DJ, which looks pretty skookum. And then of course everything is all tickety-boo wrapped up. And then over here you can see accessories, so I think that's where your counterweight and any other kinds of gizzits, the 45 adapter will be. So we'll take that out and have a look at it. So there we have it. Pulled the styrofoam containing thing there, containing the plinth and the arm. And at the very bottom, that's your platter. And it's not super heavy, but it is sturdy. And then we've got a couple of boxes here. Not sure what's in those, but we'll open those up and have a look at it. And there we have the turntable from the back side. And it looks like this styrofoam is a little heavier, so it looks like our counterweight's in there. And I think our cartridge and head shell is in there. And that's your 45 adapter underneath the tape. You can see it's all well packaged up. The voltage selector switch is on 110, 120 volts, but it is dual voltage. And we'll get it up on top of the stand here and get her plugged in and get the balance or the weights done, and we'll give it a test spin. Alright, so looking at the back, you can see that there is a USB connection here, and it's got a front phono and a line connection. We've got it on line. Actually, we're going to put it on phono because I've got a phono preamp on my integrated amp. So we'll be using the phono preamps inside my integrated amp instead of the cheap one that's on the turntable. And then back in here underneath, if you can barely see it, is where the power supply, figure 8 power supply goes into. And it does have one flat edge, so it's not truly a figure 8 one. But there's the nomenclature on the back, including the serial number. So that way I've got a record of the serial number of the turntable. It was manufactured July 2016. And of course the arm is pinched down really good for transit. And we'll get everything else buttoned on now. So in one of the two accessory boxes you get a Y connector. So it's a standard 3.5 millimeter stereo connection to two RCA female adapters. And that's basically, I think, to plug it into the sound card on a computer. And then of course you get the USB cable if you wanted to port it directly into the USB port of a computer as well. Or this one actually for probably powered speakers, more than likely. And the other accessory box came with the power cord. So that's the figure 8 power cord with the flat side that you can see, kind of see right there. And just a standard 110 plug connection right there. Alright, there it is, all hooked up. And well, I've got the power on, but I don't have the RCA cords hooked into the amp yet. One thing of note is it does not have a separate ground cable, so I believe it's internally grounded. And you can see the cartridge and the head shell that came with it. Nice silver one to match the silver tone arm. Very generic cartridge. I don't imagine that thing is worth much. It'll be gone within a week of me getting back from Mexico, I suspect. But anyway, it's enough to get the turntable running and going. So we'll dial in the weight and see how she sounds. One thing I should mention though is the Massillay turntable, the plinth. I was absolutely impressed. It is a very, very solid unit. The platter, somewhat lightweight. It's kind of it looks like aluminum, I guess it is, but it does have a solid feel. There's no movement. Same with the bearings on the arm itself. They're quite rigid. They're not sloppy or anything like that, which is nice to know. The only thing I would probably... Oh, I was also impressed with the 45 adapter. It's actually all metal, and it just pops into this recess here. And the only thing I'm sort of disappointed in was, yeah, these there's been comments about these buttons being cheap, but quite honestly, I'll just be putting it on 33 and leaving it there. I don't have that many 45s, so I've got some 45 LPs. Not a big deal. And the switch seems to be a little bit, just a little bit flimsy. But, you know, as long as you're taking care of it and not beating on it, I think it should be fine. The start-stop button is really solid. And the slider has a good feel to it. It's +8, -8. So I'm not a scratch DJ, so I'll probably keep that zeroed permanently. But I might play around a little bit. You never know. So we'll get her ramped up and tone arm balanced, anti-skate applied, and throw in an LP and see what she sounds like. There we go. So it's actually recommended to be very heavy on the cartridge, between 3 and 4 grams. So right now it's dialed into 3.5 grams, halfway between the recommended settings, which I think is excessive. So we'll changing that cartridge out real quick. Rock steady on the strobe that you can see. I've got it dialed into the midpoint, which means it's locked onto the speed. It's not quartz locked, it's another variation of a locking mechanism to keep it on speed. Oh, there we go. Losing thing. Got it on 33. And let's see how... It's pretty quick to come up to speed. Really quick to come up to speed. I've got it the vertical tracking angle. I've got it basically set at the 0 point, and it still seems a little bit high, but we'll have to see what we can do. We might have to go to a thicker platter mat to bring the tone arm vertical or horizontal with the record surface. But other than that, I'm actually very satisfied with the sound. It is a nice sounding little turntable. I'd say the imaging is not great just because of the cartridge, but it's probably just a conical cartridge. I have no details on what type of cartridge, who made the manufacturer is for Technics, but like I say, we'll be dumping that pretty quickly. Very happy with it. So there you are. My initial impressions are it's a robust turntable. I mean, it's a very solid based turntable. Tone arm looks very sturdy. Doesn't look like it's made cheaply at all. I think where they sort of compromised on the cost are things like the power switch. It's just kind of a cheap plastic, and you don't want to torque on that too much, but as long as you're careful with it, it should last the life of the turntable. I got a 2-year warranty, an extended warranty with the purchase of this at Long and McQuaid. So even if I have a difficulty down the road or whatever for the next 2 years, I'm covered. This is basically where it's going to be parked for the next 2 years. These buttons seem a little bit cheap, but those are two buttons I won't be pushing very frequently, other than a couple of 45 EPs that I have. I'm mostly a LP, 33 LP guy. I like to listen to full records, not short records. And the bass seems to be quite sturdy, and I've yet to put on the dust cover. I wanted to make sure everything was running correctly before, in case I had to take it back. I didn't want to get any scuffs on the cover. So I'll be putting that on pretty quick. And the thing I like about the cover is it's got an LP holder. So whatever album that you're playing, you just put it into it's got these little two nodules on the back that allows you to put the album cover into the back of the dust cover, so you can actually display the album that's playing while you're playing it, which I think is a fabulous idea. I don't know why more turntables don't do that. The next little modification, of course, this is a fully manual turntable, which means that if you forget about it, you're going to just endlessly wear out the out groove. So what I'm going to do is I've got one of those Q-up levers, and these kind of tone arm basses don't lend themselves that well. So I'm going to see if I can do some sort of a modification to get my old Q-up lever from my last turntable to modify it. And I think what I'm going to do is maybe put a little bit of a bench or a ramp or something there in order for it to sit down. It might mean I have to cut into it a bit just to shorten it, but we'll see if we can get that working. That'll be an updated video once I've played with this thing for a while, probably a couple months down the line. And I'll do an update, hopefully, and give you my long-term impressions of how the turntable is behaving. So there you have it, a Pioneer PLX-500-K, which means the black version. The W is the white version. And one happy camper here. Thanks for watching.